And this is a way to possibly, because you can feel the collarbone, right? Right in here, the clavicular notch, you need to come more central. So find the little hollow in your throat.
Okay.
And the big bone that's here is your collarbone. So if you take a deep breath in and turn to the right just slightly, traction your collarbone towards the shoulder, and as you exhale, turn your arm down. And you might get a click or a snap, crackle, pop in there. All right? And then the first rib, if you come down the sternum, and there's the collarbone, and then the first rib is real close. It's almost like it's on top of the other. You do the same thing again. Take a deep breath in, traction that rib out. I get a big pop in that one. So I tend to have a rib that pops out. Right? And you can do it on the other side too, but this is the shoulder that bothers me the most. So you can always do it on the other side just to play around with the idea. You might find something in here. So the collarbone is being tractioned out. You take a deep breath in, and then as you exhale, sweep the arm down. A little click, click, click. And then if you want to try for the first rib, you go down, feel where it enters into the sternum, and it might be tender. Right, because there's a lot of tender spots in here. Deep breath in, traction that rib out. Nothing on that. But it occurred to me because I was reading about this nice place where you go to and they have axe throwing. And I thought your neck and your shoulders started
My shoulder, that
after the axe throwing.
okay, my axe throwing, and then I think I compensated for it. And then it was the whole shoulder, neck thing, and then we were doing a lot of shoulder work, I was
Yeah.
doing a lot of inversions.
Yeah.
I just think.
It was all a
right
big
for injury,
combo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have, and I truly believe that you get sensitized to your body from the practice. And so you can tell. I mean, I went in to get adjusted and I told my chiropractor, I said, I've got a rib or something out because I can't raise my arm up like this at all. You know, I'm still repairing some stuff, but I couldn't raise my arm up. I couldn't raise it up without a lot of pain. And she said afterwards, you're just too body aware. You know, that's not a bad thing. She was kidding me because she's a yoga practitioner as well. So having that sensitization, arming yourself with the knowledge you get from your practice, you can do things at home like this as a part of a mindfulness practice. You can even consider it part of your practice, right? To get in there. And then now take the heels of your hands to the top of the thighs. And as you begin, and this is just the example for the shoulder, you can do this with a hip, you can do it with a knee, you can do it with an ankle, whatever it is that you're working with. And then press the thighs down, rotate them out slightly. Draw your navel in and up, exhale, rotate forward. If you're sitting more in Sukhasana, you'll probably feel too much pressure in your ankles to come much further. But if you're in Siddhasana, either as you are, Dorian, that's fine. Yeah, you're fine. There's two different ways of doing it. And then inhale and come back up. Yeah, just when I tend to take, if I was going to say I study the most with, I study the most now with Rodney Yee online. And he's Iyengar based, but was popularized with the AM PM video and all of that. But he's an amazing teacher. He just has the most beautiful descriptions. Now, if you sit in Siddhasana like this is very grounding. And make sure that you're as close as you can be to your heels. And now notice how as you come forward, that there is a lot of grounding in the shin. So if you take your knees a little wider, Nancy, it'll work. Yeah, you just separate your knees out like you're sliding too much. You're having a little cramp thing?
I never feel that I'm doing this the right way.
Well, it looks right. It's just that if your knees are too close together, the shins aren't going to come to the ground. Now start to rotate forward and bring your hands to the floor. So rotate from the crease of the top of the thighs, just fold. Yeah. Now take your hands out. Keep coming. Can you come further forward, or is it, where do you feel it?
I'm not sitting on the blanket anymore.
I know you're light. That's okay.
Okay.
So you're grounding your shins. Now
Almost.
press into your hands, start to ground the buddy bones, and then walk your way back up. And you should feel a little bit more. Oh, yeah, definitely. Sometimes it's only going to be that in Siddhasana, if you have a trick knee, the only time you can do it was with this particular shin in front. Now, extend your arms out, flip the palms up and ground the index and the thumb finger together. And as you reach the fingers, in a sense, over the top of the kneecap, lift the elbow up into the arm. So Siddhasana means wise sage, and it's supposedly you get around, or you might actually find enlightenment or some wisdom here. Lengthen up through the chest. Exhale, release out through the back of the arms. Now, after a few breaths, see if you can coordinate the lift of the chest and the reach of your arms, both with your in-breath and your out-breath. And then release, lean back, and reverse the cross of your legs after taking Dandasana. That's a pretty tight knee thing, and we were there for quite a while. So you might want to lift and lower your knees just to get some sense of something flowing through the legs. Now, lift the inner knees and come into Baddha Konasana. Rotate forward, reach the back of the knee out towards the kneecap, and then inhale and come up, and notice how it's a little easier to sit upright. So with a few of these poses, if you come into it and you feel like, I don't think I get it, I don't think it's happening for me, just taking a pitch forward, and like you were doing, Nancy, that's great. You know, you take your fingers right into that crease, and almost like a human seatbelt, you're taking the pit of the groin down and back, top of the thigh down and back, and you take your hands out. Now here, I don't even have to press my heels together, just by the nature of coming forward, because I know you feel it. I can see you're right there. It's like the feet just push together. And then inhale and come up. Now, your right shin was in front. So because of your knee, you probably want to keep your right shin in front. You can try it.
I'll try it.
And now I don't remember, other than taking a simple cross, I have to reverse the cross. So now I know that my right shin is in back and the left shin is in forward. So just try and cross your legs. Did you figure it out already?
The reverse, yeah.
Yeah, so now you know, okay, my left shin wants to go in, come further forward on the blanket. Because if you're too far back on the blanket, you're not going to get any forward rotation in your pelvis, and it's not going to happen for you. Much easier on this side. Yeah, because sometimes the reverse cross is easier. Yeah, thanks. Rotate forward. I used to have a cheat with, not with these pants, because it's too tight at the leg. When I had bigger pants on, where it's bigger in the bottom, you just slide the whole fabric up back behind your knee, and it creates a neat little pocket. Now walk your hands over to the right side, centering your chest over your right knee. Take your left hand and ground the left thigh down. How's that feel? Pretty darn good. Now, what's your left shoulder blade doing? Mine's creeping up towards my ear. So I'm going to have less pressure in my thigh as I bend the elbow. And then inhale and come up. And now you can turn. Oh, let's do the same thing. Walk forward. Walk your hands around to the left. Take your right hand and ground the right thigh down. Lift your right side body, and then exhale, turn back towards that left leg. Take a few breaths here, because sometimes you might find the more productive stretch where you're opening up, just for you. Or you might be more productive turning towards the knee. Now, for me, this is most productive across the back of the pelvis, whereas this is along the side body and the side hip more. Do you feel the difference? If you come forward and down,
Shoulder.
you ground your right shin down more if it's in front. And you feel more of that stretch. So inhale now and come back up. Extend your legs out, Dandasana, so they can just step. And merge your legs together. Firm the thighs down and reach for your heels. Sweep your arms forward, out, and up. Now, how is that? It's okay? Everybody okay with this? All right, now, see if you can extend the elbows out to the side like you're in the gym, if you've ever done the pull down bar behind your head. I don't know, what is it called? Pull down bar.
But pull down.
Thank you. And then inhale and come back up. Now, at a certain point, we might feel some resistance. All right, so right now I've got a lot of tension in my left shoulder here. So what I'm going to do is kind of play around with it a little bit. So if you do have tension in the shoulders, and then I'm going to start to bend the elbow down, out, keep the lift of the sternum, firmly activate those thighs. Now, when you find a place of tension, just go back and forth. You're trying to create a better groove, better pathway. Now, my whole collarbone on the right side and my shoulder blade are having a little click party. Now, find your elbows at shoulder height and bring the forearms together. This is more like eagle arms. And then open your arms. Feel like you're breathing yourself with the movement of your body. Bring the forearms together. Take the forearms out. How is this on the front thigh? Are you okay with this, Doreen, or is it starting to grip a little bit?
I'm okay right now.
Okay, because if it starts to grip, here, let's all do this. Take your arms down and now move your buttock flesh back. So you're rotating forward a little bit better and you feel like you're more on the front edge of the buttocks.
It's nice so I have legs. Yeah, it's when I my legs are loose and I sit on the floor like.
Oh, the cables.
I'm not sure what to do.
I do.
Okay.
I have, after class, I have suggestions. One really wicked PT thing, you take a tennis ball and you put it right in here and you roll on it while you're face down. It's really nasty. That sounds nasty. Now, this time, bring your palms together and bring the elbows up. The elbows may separate. See if you can bring your hands all the way to the back of the head. Now turn your right palm towards your back body and take the right elbow up more. Reach your left arm out, turn the palm towards the wall behind without popping that arm forward. So you're just broadening from midline out through that arm and bring the hand back behind you. Maybe it goes all the way up and it touches and you go, oh, here's my fingers. Now keep in mind, you want to follow the line of your spine because sometimes you're close enough, but one hand is on the shoulder blade and the other one's on your right side. Exhale, lower your elbow down. Now let's take a different seated position. And if you have it available to you, cross your left knee over your right knee and open the soles of the feet out. So this is a modified Gomukhasana position. If the blanket's in the way, just rotate the blanket slightly so it's out of your way and underneath the buttock bones. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. The diagonal is there.
Yeah, the 45-degree angle thing. So the corner of your blanket is pointing forward.
Patty's not here, so I have.
Well, you can take your water bottle and just go like there. It just rolled away. So having your left leg on top, iron out the soles of the feet and rotate forward. So this will go back into your hips a little bit. If you take your right knee around to the left side more. So it's as if the legs are coming to the opposite side. Does that work okay? Or are you tipping?
Okay, I'm not all the way there.
It's fine. You're pretty darn close, I'd have to say. Now, come back up, bring the palms together, elbows together. Hands follow the trail of the silhouette of your head. And the elbows separate as you need to, taking the thumb into the spine. Now, the left palm goes into your back. Turn the right arm up, out, towards the wall behind. Any discomfort, my shoulder people? And then take the forearm to the back body, reaching for the other side of your waist. And then shimmy, if you can. This is where it starts getting really tight for me, so I'm just going to hang up like a little wing. Try and sweep that shoulder blade on the right side in so it flattens out a little bit more into the body. And exhale and slowly release. Interlace your fingers, express the palms out, sweep them up. Nice deep breath in, and then release the arms out and down. Snap, crackle. And that's the thing. This time of year, we're going to get a lot of snap, crackle, pop. I mean, it goes from cold to hot, or cold to temperate, temperate to cold. Exhale, release out and down. And right now is not the time to say, what gives? I was more flexible yesterday. I didn't have this nattering, tug, pain, resistance, reverse across your legs. Why is it here now? Well, for some of us, it's just AGE, but for some of us, it's just, the way the body is in the winter, right? So you do the yoga WD-40, which is a lot of repetitive motion, and you don't expect so much out of your body as you go in and out, right? Rotate forward. It's a little bit of this, where you go forward to stretch the outer hip. So when you come back up, there's less resistance. So now it should be a little bit easier to sit upright. And then extend the legs forward, Dandasana. The other thing that I could say that helps with this whole kind of retraction that we do in the wintertime is you can go ahead and retract, let your body do that, and then be done with it. All right? So when you put on the heavier jackets, sometimes there's this that goes on, right? So just bend your knee, take your hands to the base of the skull and curl up into a tiny little ball. Notice what emotional state comes with that. And now as you inhale, keep the interlace of the hands on the back of the skull and inhale, lift up, open your knees wide into Baddha Konasana and open your elbows wide. Maybe you feel like a lift in your mindset. Exhale, come back into your little fetal position, duck and cover. Inhale, open the knees out wide. So that's part of the psychology. So when you get into these tight situations, oh, this is another one, good one. Take your belt. And have your hands in a position where there's some leverage. So that when you bring your hands towards one another, you feel almost like you're in a tight jacket where you feel the collarbones come in tight and shut down. Now burst the belt and lift your sternum up. So you can always find space in that compressive state. It's almost like twisting. And you try to breathe deeply. Now I'm going to make it a little tighter. I'm going to take my hands even closer to my shoulders here. Inhale, lift the chest. And bring the hands towards one another, and I can really feel how it's starting to jam the collarbones towards one another. First the bell. Now extend the hands out to the side and take your arms up overhead. And bring them back down, because now you know your hands are far enough back that it might create more challenge. Inhale, take them up. Bend your left elbow now, taking the hand behind the head, so going back into Gomukhasana. So let your left arm come all the way to your ear. And let the belt drop, and now pull down on the back body with that right hand. Now pull up with the left hand. Find your end range. Pull down with the right hand. Pull up, pull down. Go with the breath. And then release your right hand and grab the belt at a very nice, generous distance, maybe right at the floor. Inhale, come up. Exhale, reach the left arm out to bend the right elbow. And now release the belt and take it behind you. So you're back in Gomukhasana, second round. This time we have a little bit more tension. So you want to take your right elbow up. So Nancy, here you are right about here. Okay, so do this. Good. Now start to bring your right arm up with the lengthening in the reach of the left arm. Bend your elbow, your hand will probably hit the floor, so let go of the belt. Hold the belt with your palm facing out, and then start to pull down and take your hands as close as you can towards one another without getting really cinched up. And then pull up with the belt. And pull down with the belt. So if this is the easier side for your left shoulder, what you can do is go, how did this shoulder maneuver to take the hand up higher? Right? What is that movement? What's it supposed to feel like? And then maybe your right side is more open on the upward. For instance, okay, my right arm being behind my back is very restricted, right? So I'm going to say, all right, how does this work? I have my upper left arm back and the elbow reaches down and I have this sensation. So now I'm going to let go again. So pick something, whether it's your right shoulder or your left shoulder. So what's restrictive in this side? What do you feel? Is it your right shoulder or your left? Okay, so you're going to take that restricted action of the left side. Right, now we're going to come up again. Hold your belt. Go over to the other side. So whatever was tight on whichever side, now bring yourself into the bend of the left elbow and climb your right hand up the back body. So you're switching to the other side. All right, so bend your left elbow, let your hand with the palm facing the back body come all the way down, and now let go of the belt and grab it on the other side. So if this side is easier for your restricted place, so I'm taking Nancy for instance, right? So how is it that your right arm is maneuvering to create a lot of space here? Maybe the back of the hand is leveraging into the back body so you can move the inner right elbow back. Maybe the right collarbone is broadening out. Now, if this is your tighter side, which I know it is for you, right? I don't know, are you pretty balanced tonight?
No, the right, the right is like, that's,
The right side down is tighter?
yeah, I was in the opposite, the right
Yeah,
is the.
because some of us have an upward arm tightness. I mean, what do you have, Denise? The right down.
Yeah.
You have the left down. Yours is which one?
The right,
The right
Up.
down.
but it
Oh,
was,
the right up.
when it was, yeah, so when this
Okay.
side was the
No,
right,
I
it
got
was
you.
like,
And yours is right up or right down?
right down.
Right down. Okay. All right. So now release the belt. Take your arm out once again. And now take that information from the troubled spot into the more open spot. or from the more open spot into the troubled spot. Now, here, can you remember what your left arm was doing when it was up, Melissa?
Yeah, I think it's like, I think the elbow has to come in a little bit more and then I can go down. That's.
You mean it has to sweep forward, the outer arm
Yeah,
forward?
yeah, cause I
Okay.
feel like maybe I just like am bowing out all the time on this side.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm about tapped out, so I'm just gonna release. If you're tapped out, release. Now with the inward rotation, that's where they come to sit Sukhasana. So I'm gonna just recap. When you have your arm up, right, the inner arm wants to roll back. The arm bone settles down and your outer arm forward. So go ahead and take your right arm up and we'll all do this. So a lot of times when you're here with the bent elbow, it wants to go this way, right? But we want the whole outer upper arm and the outer armpit to flare forward. Turn your palm towards the wall behind. This is an inward rotation. Actually, it's an outward rotation. Yeah, it's an outward rotation. And then bend your elbow. Does it feel cleaner when you turn it before you bend it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And then take your left arm up, bend the elbow. So see where you naturally go. Straighten the left arm. Turn the inner arm back, outer arm forward. Hold it here and bend your elbow. Maybe you feel a little bit more depth, like the hand goes further down the back body, maybe. Or less restriction. All right, so that's the action of the upward arm. Take your right arm up, left arm up. Now, so if you turn the thumbs back and the palms towards the wall behind you, this is an outward rotation. Now, an inward rotation is where all of us get a little tripped up when it comes to that downward arm. So is there any tightness or restriction in the shoulders? Okay, a little bit. Yeah, I can feel it too. Yeah, I can feel like it's jamming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I want to pop something. So let your arm bones come down. More space. Now turn the palms forward. Slowly, slowly bring the elbows into your goal post. Now, how is that with your right shoulder? You're thinking.
It's good.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, for my people who have the downward arm discomfort, how is it on that arm? It's your left arm, your right arm, and your right arm.
Right.
So now, keep the arm bones back in the shoulder sockets. And notice if there's any involuntary movement of the arm bone forward. And the minute you feel it, bring the arm bone back. And take the arms up again. This is kind of more of a therapeutics class, I think, if anything. And then again, slowly, slowly keep the arm bones moving back, reach out through the elbows, so you're broadening out and not jamming into the neck region. Now, whichever side is tighter, for me, it's my left. For you, it's your right.
Right.
I mean, your left, your right, and your right. Grab that tight side and bring the arm across without sinking in the ribs. The hand comes straight across the waist. Good. Open the collarbone out like we were adjusting before. Trying to create space between the arm bone and the shoulder blade and the collarbone. So you hook in to the upper arm bone here now and create space. If you can flex your hand on your outer waist and draw the inner elbow out. Now let your ear go away from your tender shoulder. So everybody goes away from the hand that's on your upper arm. Now, take your head back to center You're pointing your fingers out to whichever side, so the whole hand. So you're reaching out, you opened up the back of the wrist. Now, keep the lift of the sternum and slowly experiment with taking your hand off the back body. So if you want to do this on a daily basis, you know, you could do Gomukhasana one side, and you could do it to the other side, and then to this side, and then come back with your lower hand and just observe how high up it gets. Right? Before you feel discomfort. Then take it up to where you do feel that slight impingement and reach the inner elbow out again as if you were trying to flex the hand. See if you can resolve and create more space. You can take your hand to that top area and push it out. Because some of it is giving yourself the opportunity to stretch the muscles and negotiate space without pain. If it's too much, you let the hand come down a little bit. And now release the hand down little by little and pause and feel the sensation. So now we're all toast with our therapeutics. Bring your hands to the top of your thighs, lift and open your chest. And notice if any slight movement, is anybody crackling? You're crackling. No,
I was.
now you stop crackling. A little less. Do you have a little less, Nancy? A little less crackling, or is it still about the same?
No, it's stopped now.
Good, good,
It's
good.
crackling when we started.
Yeah, so that's an indicator that you started to get in and release and create a little bit more space. And sometimes the muscles get so tight, it's pushing everything together. And especially when it comes to having this stuff tight in here, there's the supraspinatus, which runs along that hollow of your shoulder blade, underneath the little hook of the shoulder blade and down the arm bone. So sometimes you can get that by holding a sandbag or something heavy and letting your arm release, like the old kitchen phone cord. And you do this, you go against the wall, right, like this, and you just like, you're like this, and you just go like this. Almost like the paper clip trick. And after you've done some rotations in one direction, pause. And then start it in the other direction. The sandbag is too long and it hits the floor, I find, unless you're like 6'4". Now, getting back to learning from one side to the other. What is your favorite standing pose? And counter to that, what's your least favorite standing pose? Tough one, right? You can say two if you have like two that are like.
My favorite is triangle, and I love half moon.
Okay,
And even though it's difficult, I love it. When I get it, it's like the best. I do not like warrior two. It's
so we have,
not my favorite.
that's fine. So we have triangle and warrior two. Triangle and warrior two. All right, anybody else? Which one do you love?
The same.
So wide leg forward bend or just wide leg forward bend?
Oh, that's.
Yeah, okay, so you
But I
go.
like worry too, actually.
Oh, that's
Okay. I'm for half moon, but I like half moon. But I don't like the twisting one.
Taking half moon off the table because it's not one of the basic standing poses. Although it is, we might have to put it in tonight. See, this is a custom class, so it depends on who shows up. What about
Warrior one.
warrior one? Is a
I like
fave,
it. Mhm.
and what is your least fave? Yours is Utkatasana you don't like.
No, I do like.
Oh, you do like
Yeah,
Utkatasana.
but you said that's not one of the basics.
No, you could say that, because it has a certain action like warrior one. And the one you least like is
I don't have the least like, but what's the challenge for me is.
extended side angle.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yes.
to get the almost.
so you would be an extended side angle person?
And the rotated, what is that?
Rotated
Oh,
triangle
rotated
pose?
triangle.
Yeah.
That's the one where I always get all wobbly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the. balance.
Yeah, you go to filter. I do too. Once you master it, you want it.
Triangle a lot, so
Yeah.
I was like, that, I thought
Yeah.
it was really cool.
Because,
I feel like if I lose focus, I'm going down.
Yeah.
yeah.
Very-
Because some of the things that,
All over a lot.
yeah, so for those of you, if I'm reading correctly, everybody has a challenge with rotated triangle pose until you master it and then you get it and you're fine with it
Yeah, I've been okay with it, like.
for a long time. Yeah,
Yeah,
but in the beginning, that was like a challenging pose, right?
yes, for sure.
It's always a challenging pose. But it's not like you hate it, you just don't want to fall over. All right. And you guys like Utkatasana and Warrior One a lot. Well, I wouldn't say Utkatasana, but Warrior One and Utkatasana have a similar action. I'll go into this in a second. But you don't like extended side angle and Warrior Two.
I'm okay with one.
Warrior Two. So,
I
but
think the
extended side
extended
angle.
side angle. I think that's the one.
All right. So let me talk to you about this. So for those of you that love Warrior One, Utkatasana has a similar action, right? So what it is more of a rotated pose where you're facing the end of your mat, right? And the tailbone descends. And there's a lot of stretch in the front thigh, which is psoas-ish, although it's not always psoas. There's also the side of the psoas. Right? Now, so again, tailbone drops, the chest lifts, and there's a very strong separation forward and back with the thighs. Okay? It's a very stable thing. Now, Utkatasana challenges strength, and if you get the balance just right, between taking the pit of the groin back and the knees forward, your tailbone also descends, and you have this nice line on your back body. And then when you go into rotated triangle pose, there is this forward and back reach, but a lot of times what gets lost is this pit of the groin here. It wants to draw back. And that's what makes it more accessible and more stable, is when you get the thighs back and the chest out. So it's taking some of the qualities from the poses that you love and bringing them into the poses that are not so stable. All right, so we've covered Utkatasana, Warrior One, and rotated triangle pose. Now, you hate Warrior Two.
No, I like it.
No,
You like Warrior Two,
it's not.
and you like wide leg forward bend,
I do.
and you love triangle.
Yes, I do.
I put it on the wrong side of the paper. But you don't like Warrior Two.
No, I'm okay with one.
So
I feel very.
the only pose we
strong
don't
in
like
the-
is,
the poses, I feel very like
so the
in the groove
Alright.
and powerful. The other
So
ones, I'm just
the
like.
not so happy place is extended side angle and rotated triangle. Yes,
Yeah, that's what.
That's for me.
That's what.
what it is.
And
rotated-
Warrior Two for you, right? Melissa?
Yeah, I don't know what it is about it, just the bending.
Okay, I knew I put it on this side of the paper for that reason.
Bending of the leg.
I find it very challenging, Warrior Two.
Yeah, maybe
And you
that's
know why?
why I don't like it.
And you like extended side angle.
You know, I like it better than that, but I wouldn't have said that as my first choice, as my worst pose, but
All right, let's all take child's pose.
I think I like these stood side, you know, because you kind of like you give your hand, you've got some grounding.
Well,
Maybe that's.
I have
not
a
the right
theory
answer.
because for me, I use my arms and my legs in extended side angle to where I'm lying on my thigh. And I don't have to use my legs so much because my arm is on the floor
Yeah,
and I'm not really
that's
engaged with
probably
the thigh. But if you're upright in warrior two, you have to work that thigh. So I am lazy too.
Maybe.
So what I want you to do, if you can sit on your heels and come back up into Vrajasana, take your fingers right into the pit of the groin. And if you can't bend in the knees, what you do is you come up and you can do it this way. Right, so Denise, just find that little hollow in there and come into child's pose that way. But if you're sitting on your heels, you take the fingers right into that little walnut size of the pit of the groin and draw it back, 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 as if you have all the space in the world and your thighs follow that pit of the groin and then extend your arms out. So sometimes with all these poses, what it is lack of space. When you have spaciousness, then things seem to fall into place. But we don't know that we don't have space there until perhaps it's suggested. Now, as you reach out through the index finger mound, take the tailbone and let it be heavy as it drops towards the floor. Can you direct the pit of the groins back more? Sometimes shifting the weight from the outer knees to the inner knees helps with this. Take a few breaths here. And now on your inhalation, come up onto the hands and knees. Bring your knees directly beneath your hips. And now alternating, take your finger into the opposite pit of the groin. And as you draw your fingers back into that pit of the groin, can you firm your forearm forward, creating a lot of space on one side? And then switch out, do it on the other side. Because I find it very difficult to firm my thighs back, which is what downward doggy does. Afford us the opportunity. And in here, I can start to feel how there's a part going forward that takes the arm in one direction, side ribs expand, and then the thigh goes back in the other direction. Now, tuck your toes under, lift with the pit of the groin and the reach of the thigh up. Let your head hang. Keep your knees bent for a little bit. And now, as if you're doing the Charleston here, just move your knees towards one another and away from one another until you get a sense of opening in the hips, and then extend the calves back through the heels, the hamstrings up through the buttock bones, and drop the tailbone a little bit so you're heavy. If the shoulders move back towards your hands, don't drop the tailbone. Can you lift your forearms up and take your shins back? Can you lift to the pit of the groin up and take the tailbone down? And then walk your hands back toward your feet and then slowly come to stand up. Very good. So the pit of the groins we're going to work with and the drop of the tailbone. Now, take a wide stance. We're just going to run through the standing poses, the ones that were mentioned, which is all of them, except for extended chest pose. So we're just going to take a taste, make a little sample. And one thing I do find is during the winter months, repeating the poses several times allows us to go a little deeper or to refine or just to build up a little heat. So now turn your feet to the right, heel to arch alignment. So in this back leg, you have the pit of the groin that you want to work with, drawing back, and then take the tailbone and make it heavy as it goes down.
Is the pit like at this point?
It's right in that hollow where you're really tight and spindly.
Maybe that's why it feels, it doesn't.
It doesn't feel hollow.
No.
No worries. Yeah. Mhm. Now, extend out over the right side. Pit of the groin back. Tailbone heavy. Now it's like sweeping underneath in a way. You feel a little softer now that you're out over your right leg, Doreen.
Yeah.
And then let your hands drape to the shin. Turn your abdomen towards the ceiling and lengthen your left arm up. Reach strongly through your left heel to extend the right ribs more. So when the pit of the groin goes back, there's a little bit of a forward rotation in your pelvis. It softens some things. And we tend to get very hard with too much of this pelvic tilt, right? Now on an exhalation, bend your right leg, start to bend it. And if your hand easily hits the top of the foot, then use the top of the foot. Bring your inner knee toward your outer and feel that outer hip crease. So now you're really opening up the inner groin. I know it's tough to look and to do.
Yeah, I was like, I better just listen and.
Yeah. Now, if you can, keep letting the right shin bone firm the form away. So you get longer in the side ribs. And wherever your hand goes, it goes. Take the left hand to the left hip. Take the tailbone forward. And now see if you can soften the pit of the groin back. Now I like this one especially because I just lie my chest on my leg. And my leg is strong, so it holds me up. And if that doesn't hold me up, then I jam up my right shoulder, which is always problematic anyway. Now, take your hand to the base of the skull. Reach the elbow out to get long on the side body, but then open the elbow up and back to get open in the front, across the shoulders, and like. Begin to slowly straighten the right leg. Can you keep your right ribs on your right thigh? Maybe, maybe not. At a certain point, you have to let go. Come back up into a triangle pose with your hand on your hip. Inhale, come up. Now, pit of the groin back, soft. Tailbone forward. This is the tough part. I can even feel a pulse in my pit. Can you feel it? Like thump, thump,
Yeah, actually.
thump, thump, thump. Lengthen the right arm up and bend your right knee. Now talk to me about how much you love your warrior two, Melissa.
Getting better.
All right.
That was.
Because where I find that the weakness is in the right thigh.
Yes, I think it's this whole.
Assembly. Now,
hang
take your right hand down and let your right thigh drop more. Now, when I first started working with this instruction as a receiving person, it did not make sense. How do I drop my right thigh when I want to lift up through my chest? And it's as if getting into that sense of separating. Now, extend your arms out. And if you let the pit of the left groin draw back, you get more extension through the left leg. Tailbone drops and gets heavy. Maybe you can drop your right thigh more and lift your right ribs more. Stretch through the arms. Inhale, straighten your right leg, turn your feet to parallel. Wasn't so bad. What is it about it that just is like, is it challenging to stay there for a long period of time?
Yeah.
Is it
I think that's all
unstable?
it is. It's just like, I feel like I'm out in this middle space and it's like hard to hold it up.
Okay.
I think it's just because it feels harder.
Give me an idea. Turn your feet to the left. Good. Now take the pit of the right groin back. You might even feel a lift in the front chest when you do that. Take the tailbone forward. And then exhale. Extend the left thigh back, reaching out, reaching out, reaching out, reaching out. Let your hand come to your shin. Now, are you still tight in there when you're out in triangle pose, or is it starting
This
to
side is
much softer?
Yeah.
Okay. Now turn and open the chest towards the ceiling, but keep the pit of the groin going back as the tailbone goes forward. What I feel is a really nice stretch through my side hip and the back of the pelvis, almost like when we were turning in Sukhasana to the right, and you got this really nice stretch in the back of the pelvis. What do you think, Denise? I know you're like calculating.
Focus, no, we just have to focus.
Now stretch your right arm up. Slowly begin to bend the left leg. Once it gets bent enough, sweep your inner knee towards your outer knee. And it might create a whole lot of stretching in that inner groin. Do you feel that, Doreen? Is it a big stretch in the inner groin? Or is it soft?
It's not a big stretch, but it is a stretch.
Okay. I'm just curious. I'm trying to do diagnostics for that tight psoas there. And then bend your elbow, take your hand to the base of the skull. Take the elbow out and the forearm towards your head and reach out, get as long as you can on that left side. If you can bend your left knee a little bit more, Denise, that'll work. And then open the chest as you sweep your right elbow up and back. Your hand's still on your head still here. So bring your hand to the back of the head, everybody. And then open the chest and then extend your right arm out. Now, if you need to take a break, because this is intense standing work, you can always come up and out and just rest. Now, this is where I get hooked up in my left hip and groin, because I can really feel it pinching right in here. So I'm going to open it up and know that I just came down too low. So I'm going to experiment here for a second. And then inhale and come up. Keep your legs in position. Now, with your left hand, drop the left thigh down, lift the left ribs up. Right hand, right hip. Take your left arm up. Begin to extend the left thigh out, but the right thigh in the opposite direction. Release the arms parallel to the floor, gaze softly over your left hand. All right, so what's happening on this side, Melissa?
The left eye is ringing.
It is. Okay, press through the heel. Lift the toes. You finding anything else enrolling in this action?
That's better.
Good. Let the toes relax. Sweep your left calf forward. Take the pit of the right groins back. Draw your navel in and lift up. If anybody else gets tired, you can come out. And straighten your left leg, turn your feet to parallel. Take your two blocks in front of you. And then hop back to Tadasana. Of course, you already, for somebody, your blocks had you get up to go to get back, but that's fine. So give yourself Tadasana for a bit so that the effervescence of your inner groins after all that work can just go. Sweep your arms forward, out and up. Exhale, Utkatasana. Now, shift the knees forward and sit deeper. Take the tailbone heavy, let the pit of your groins release. Inhale and come up. Exhale, release the arms out and down. Come back, and I'm turning so you can see a little bit better. Sweep your arms forward, out and up. And so maybe a tagline for your right shoulder, Melissa, for you would be the outer arm forward, the armpit back. It doesn't necessarily apply so much with those of us with this inward rotation thing happening on the downward arm. So there's no tagline. When your arms are up overhead, though, the outer arm forward, the armpit back does tend to give you more space. Exhale. Utkatasana. I'm going to get everybody's ankles. We've already had 2 sets of ankles. Make it 3. Oh, those are your knees?
Yeah.
Ah. Inhale. And come back up, exhale, moving on, stand. Hands on your outer hips, take the right foot forward and the left foot back. Now let the tailbone be heavy. Take the pit of your left groin back. Now it starts to tip you forward slightly in the pelvis. So you have this relationship between taking the tailbone heavy and the pit of the left groin going back. Right? So sweep your arms forward, out and up, and think Utkatasana with the right side of the body. So tailbone's heavy, the right thigh reaches out. Now think warrior two with regards to extending the left thigh back from the pelvis and the right thigh forward. So you're stretching distance between the two legs. Only in this case, it's forward and back instead of left or right. Inhale, straighten the right leg. Exhale, lower your arms back down to the side hips. And now step forward, Utkatasana legs. Pit of the groins draw back, let them soften, just poke them. Reminds me, Jeff taught a class years ago. It's very early in the morning. I think by the end of the afternoon, or the next several times he taught it, it was different. But here, straighten your left leg, and you can feel pliability in the buttock flesh, right? It's soft. It doesn't want to grip. Now bring your fingers to the front of the groins. Is it soft? What can you do to make it soft? Maybe lift the chest. Because the psoas is the postural muscle, so it might be working, overworking. This is what might be happening. It's overworking. Exhale, think Utkatasana. Soften the pit of the groins. Take the tailbone, let it be heavy. Let the left thigh be heavy. Sweep your arms forward, down and up. As you reach one thigh forward, reach the other thigh back. Maybe let the pit of the groins win in that right leg, drawing the thigh of your left side back as well. And then let the tailbone be heavy as the left side reaches out again. Straighten left leg, lower your arms down. Take Utkatasana to finish out. Tailbone heavy, pit of the groin soft. Bring your hands to the top of the thighs and press down. Inhale, straighten legs, arms forward and up. And then exhale, release out and down. Now come back to a wide leg forward bend. And this variation of wide leg forward bend will help, I think, with the warrior two and the extended side angle challenge. So bring your hands to the blocks. Firmly press down into the center of your heel. Press down into the ball mounds of the feet and lift your toes up. Now bend your right knee and shift your hips all the way over to the right. And when you feel it shut down in your right hip, in the pit of the groin here, right? Unbend the knee, take one hand into that pit of the groin and see what you can do, just like when we did child's pose. How can you find space? Do you have to shift the thigh forward? Do you have to shift the thigh back? For me, I have to shift the thigh forward to release it a little bit. And then bring your hand back to the block. And explore what's going on the left side. It's pretty soft there for me, so I'm just going to leave it alone. And now straighten your right leg and slowly bend the left leg. See what your groins are doing. See if they're soft. So the first time we were doing Warrior One and we were testing out how soft the buttock flesh was, someone was walking around testing everybody's buttock flesh. And then the second time this happened, I think somebody probably pointed out to the very innocent teacher that he is that this is probably not appropriate, although it was done in the most innocent fashion. So shift your thigh, the left thigh forward and the left thigh back as you're in the back leg position here. And see what that does for the groins. See what that does to release the turn of the pelvis, and then straighten both legs. Exhale, bend your elbows and come forward and down any now.
Now bring the weight to the outer edges of your feet. What does that do? And bring the weight to the inner edges of your feet. What does that do? And find the most spacious place.
And then bring your hands back to your blocks. High position with blocks. Out underneath your shoulders and soften the knees and jump back to Tadasana. Inhale, then come up to you. So sometimes if the back leg isn't working enough, like in Warrior Two, it's going to be very, very hard because all the work is in the back leg in front. So from this wide leg forward bend, which everybody likes wide leg forward bend. Your hamstrings are the longest, your hips are the most open. You can actually go upside down. Use that sensation of the straight leg when we went off to the right and to the left into triangle, extended side angle, and Warrior Two. Now you can use blocks this time because I know that it's easier for extended side angle to have blocks. And it also gives you a little bit more space if you're up. Take your wide stance, have your blocks available for yourself for both triangle and extended side angle. Now, let's go high on the first round for triangle. And I'll show you how to move the blocks to get into extended side angle. That's rather helpful because you tend to be lower in extended side angle and it's just this. That's all it is. And it positions your hand beautifully and then you don't have to go, which is not quite as seamless. So turn your feet to the right. Pit of the left groins draw back, tailbone heavy. And turn your chest a little bit more to the left so your shoulders are square at least, right? Exhale, draw that right thigh back. So it's almost as if you have a string from your right hip toward your left hip. Extending out, extending out. See if you can lift up out of that right hip as you bring your hand to the block. Now, let the pit of the left groin soften. Take the tailbone slightly forward and turn, looking up, then extend your arm. So your neck is free before the arm extends up. You're also going to have a little bit more focus on turning your rib cage with the trunk. Action turning, and the arm doesn't pinch out because a lot of us sweep the arm back as a beginner. Now take your left hand back to your hip. Slowly, slowly feel like, oh, I remember wide leg forward bend because this leg is very much like wide leg forward bend. The only difference, and just flip your block down. The only difference is now we're reaching this thigh out instead of forward. Squeeze your right leg into your right arm. Now, extend out through the sternum, turn the navel to the left, let the right back body drape down. Then take your hand to the base of the skull, lengthen, get long on the left side, pit of the groin draws back, open the left elbow up, tailbone draws forward, and then extend your arm out for your full extended side angle. And in an ideal world, your arms back a little bit more. Oh, just walk your fingertips up and hang off of the shelf by the window. No, too much? Yeah, okay. You need to turn your chest more. So turn the block up higher, Nancy. Yep. Now, see if you can extend. Go ahead and keep working on it. I want to see if that works for you. Reach through that left arm. Keep your right leg bent. Oh, the service, the horror. The beauty, the heat, straighten your right leg. Feet to curl up. So if you want to be a little bit more comfortable in Warrior Two, come out of extended side angle, keeping your leg as undisturbed as possible. And you might find some clues as to how to come up or down into warrior two without that much discomfort. Now turn your feet to the left. Exhale, draw the left thigh back. Extending out, let the side body on this back left area just drape down. Gives you more room to turn the navel up. Right inner groin, right pit of the groin back, tailbone slightly forward. Let your hand come down to the block and stay up high. Now turn the abdomen on an exhalation. Take your gaze upwards towards the ceiling so your chin turns towards that shoulder. And then just extend it. Extend the right arm up. And feel how it's not involved in turning your trunk. It's just an extension. Exhale. Right hand comes back down to the hip. Bend your left leg, turn the block, and come down further. Pit of the groin on the right leg draws back, tailbone heavy, coming forward. Squeeze the left leg back. Lift your chest up and out as if you're trying to hook your rib over your kneecap. Take your hand to the back of the head, base of the skull, and lengthen the elbow out. And then as you turn more, squeeze the left leg back and reach that right elbow up and back. And then extend the right arm out. Keep your left leg bent, reach the right arm towards the right. Press into that left heel. Extend the left thigh out. To deeper. Find your wide leg forward bend in your right leg. And then inhale, come back up, turn your feet to parallel, narrow the hip points, and rotate forward and down. Fingertips to the floor, because we all make it. You can go a little wider, Denise, yeah. Yeah, you can either extend your arms all the way out like downward dog out in front of you, or you can walk them underneath so they're in the line of the pelvis and scrub the palms forward to extend the sternum down, crown of the head towards the floor. Inhale and come back up. And then if you wish to hop the feet, Tadasana, and stand up and back. All right, the only one we didn't cover yet is rotated triangle pose. Now, since there's so many of us in here, you can actually use a wall. So probably what I would do is move the table in front of the door. And what you want to do during this position, your mat is close to those little sticks as possible. Because it'll work. Move the bench to the door handles and then just take your mat long dimensions straight back.
Yeah.
And then Denise, you can use that stretch a wall between the edge and the doorknobs. And then the two of you can take up the space in between, equidistant to the edge of Doreen's mat and the wall. And I'm going to show you how to use the wall for rotated triangles. Essentially, you'll only need one block. All the way into the wall. Yeah, avoid the bamboo sticks.
There's another door.
I know, but you want to center your mat in the wall space, and you'll be fine. You're just using the wall. Right. So this is how it works with the wall. If we're turning to the right first, this is good because then you'll be facing forward. So now take your right side body towards the wall. Can you still see pretty easily without churning your neck? And so this elbow, right? My elbow against the wall is a measuring tool, so I don't overcook my shoulder. Okay? I'm standing like this, gently touching the wall. Now, step your right foot forward and your left foot back. and you have a block somewhere reachable down there by your right foot. So here, to get more stability in this pose, is by taking the tailbone, you're grounding the feet, obviously, and lifting the thighs, lifting the chest. That's just an assumption that always happens at this point. We're going into refinement. If you let your tailbone be heavy and the pit of the left groin draw back, you should feel more stability here than, say, if you just lifted your chest and planted your feet. Now, on an exhalation, turn and bring your fingertips to the wall. Lift your chest and plant your feet. Is anybody churning in their right shoulder? Okay. Now, if you're turning it with your right shoulder, you're too close to the wall for your shoulder. So here, extend your right arm out so the hand is cupped and the arm is straight back behind you. Do the same with the left. And first off, just bend your right leg into a square so you feel as though you know where your hip crease is, and draw it back towards the rear of your mat. Look out of your right hand. Now straighten your right leg. Your arms are in this very interesting position. So pretend that you have a dowel strapped to the back of your arms and across the back of your chest. So you don't want to do this kind of thing as you move down, but you're just going to travel down, travel down, travel down, travel down. Let the arm come up and bring your hand to the block. And first you could do right to the inside of the right foot. Press your fingertips into the wall to turn your trunk, bringing the left ribs towards the wall. Now, if you wanted to go further, you could take now the block to the outside of your leg and just reach back through the left heel. So the outer left hip draws back. Take the pit of the right groins back, tailbone heavy, and then press into the wall and turn, bringing your left ribs towards the wall. So feel more accessible. Maybe, maybe not. And then inhale and come back up the way you came down. So if you can, okay. Your hand to the wall, and you travel back up. Retract, turn. Now turn your feet towards the center of the room. Because this is the easy transition. Take your block, hold it, turn both feet to the left, and then let your block come down. So it's there waiting for you. Now already I'm unstable. I'm like weaving. Make sure your right foot is all the way turned in, and you might have to shorten your stance during because you're a little far back. So the pit of the groin draws back on the right leg. Tailbone gets heavy. Firm your thighs, plant the feet, lift your chest. So that little adjustment in the pelvic region between the pit of the groin and the tailbone dropping down should make it a little bit more stable. Right? Now bring your hands to the back of the hands right at your shoulders. Inhale, lift your chest. And turn towards the wall. Keep reaching back through the right leg. Plant the feet, lift the chest, turn. And then once you can turn no more, you extend your arms out. Now I'm too close to the wall for this left shoulder. I have to come away from the wall. Now, pit of the right groin draws back. You feel how it starts to tip your pelvis forward a little bit? Take the tailbone down and heavy. That releases your lower back. So you play with those two controls. On an exhalation, draw your left thigh back and begin to extend the hands down and find the right hand on the block. Whether it's, you can start with it high in the middle. And then look up at your left hand, and as you reach back through the right leg, press your left hand into the wall. Reach the sternum out, turn. And if you're going further, you plant your feet firmly, take the block to the outside of your shin, and continue to bring the right ribs towards the wall. Reach the left leg, the right leg back. Right ribs towards the wall. Reach the right leg back. And use your left hand into whatever surface you're using. Yeah, just press into it to turn you more. But lengthen the spine. From the reach of the right leg and the extension of your sternum. Then inhale and slowly come back up. And then turn back towards the center of the room. What do you think? Find anything?
No.
Not sure. Rotate your mat so it's 90 degrees into the wall. Now we're going to do more traditional. I think you guys are going to be fine with a single block. Take the right foot forward and the left foot back. And ground your heel into the wall. So right now you can start to feel your wobbleness, your weeble wobbleness, even though you have your heel into the wall. But plant the feet, firm your thighs, let the tailbone be heavy. And take the pit of the groins back as you exhale and rotate. Let your left hand come down, let the left ribs drape down, and your right hand comes up onto the back of the pelvis. You're turning towards your right leg. Reach the left leg back into the wall. Extend the sternum out towards the center of the room. And if you want to go deeper with this, keep your head in the same position. Just transfer your hand to the other side. So you hook your outer left wrist to your outer right shin and reach the sternum out as you reach back to the left leg. And just turn on each additional exhalation. And when your shoulders are stacked, we'll lengthen the right arm up. So you're not sweeping your right hand back to turn. So bring the block a little closer towards the wall, Doreen. Yeah, so it comes back a little bit more underneath you. Even more, yeah. Now, lift the sternum up and out as if you're sucking the bottom shoulder blades in. Yeah. And then you turn by letting the left ribs melt down.
This is my, it's so late that.
Oh, lift your heel and put it up higher on the, yeah.
But even in normal, like,
I know. I know. Try to see where your keyhole is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like let the left hip drop down, push down into the block, and open up across the shoulder blades. Now, yeah, so what you have to do is shift this back. Can you take your right foot out further? Okay. Good. Don't be so quick to look over your right shoulder. Just look at your big toe and then turn. Better?
Really,
It's just stuck.
yeah.
Let's see if the left side gives you some information. Because sometimes when we go into this, if you turn too quickly, what happens is this. So you're down here. And then you start looking. And then you're off center. And then it's a lot of work to bring the back bottom ribs in, do a little bit of a back bend, try and find your center again. Because what's happening is if you're off center, you're trying to twist. Make sure I got it right here. Yeah, you're trying to twist like this. And we know from our twist that unless it's equal, it doesn't happen. And that's over dramatizing. You weren't that curved. But it's just to prove a point. Now, take your left foot forward and your right foot back. Inhale, lift up through your chest. So you feel this very nice expanse. Your side ribs are evenly extending. Now, take both pit of the groins back. Ground the outer right heel into the wall and take your right hand down, high block. Now look at your big toe. And as you let an action of pressing down into the block occur, let your right ribs melt down as you bring your left ribs up. Plant the feet, pit of the groins back, tailbone heavy and reaching back, turn. Turn, turn, turn. Now, for some of you, you need to take your block to the outside of your leg to make it open up more. If you do, bring the block back a little further, Melissa, so your outer right wrist hooks on the shin. And then suck the back bottom right ribs in as you take your sternum out and turn. Reach back through the right heel for more stability and lengthen the left arm up. Too much sweeping. Not enough vacuuming. Okay. And then take another breath or two. See, I think you're turning fine.
Yeah, I just, all jammed up. This side is
Where
better.
do you feel jammed up? And then exhale, turn back towards the floor. Inhale, come up.
This one is better, this side is better, the other side, I'm getting light on this, I'm just.
I'm
feel like
thinking
my
you
whole-
might need a little bit more back bend action in the chest. Because it's coming forward and down, and then it's getting, there's not enough extension through the chest to counter the action of the legs. Because as we know in Dandasana, the more you press down into your feet, the more you can lift up through the chest, right? So I'm gonna do something. So turn around, face the wall. If you want to watch, watch, otherwise you can go to the legs of the wall. Those of you who can't watch because the camera's not on. There's nobody there, it's just- So take your arms out and do Uttanasana into the wall. So you got a nice extension. Now lift your chest, take your right foot forward. And your left foot back over. Okay, so you can use the wall for security. And take a belt over the top of your thighs. Now. You want to press into my foot with the left heel. Now walk your hands down the wall. Take your left hand down as soon as you can to the inside of the left foot with a block or without, depending on what you need. Good. Now, I would take it underneath your left shoulder a little bit more, like out away from the foot. And now walk your fingertips up the wall.
It's on
The right side, yeah. And then begin to turn, let the right side lift up and the left side drop down.
You get like really light on my.
So reach from, extend the big toe out like you're a cat. Does that help?
A little bit,
Is your hamstring overextended?
a little bit.
And then inhale and come up. And then step your left foot forward to where the right one was. Because right now, I think maybe for you, having the block directly underneath your shoulder, getting more of the corkscrew action is going to be better. No, the right hand is in, yeah. And then walk the fingertips up the wall a little bit, let your right side just fall to the floor. I'm just here for more stability. And keep you from dropping your right hip too much, which would overstretch your left hamstring. How's that?
Better.
Yeah, because it's giving you the direction. And then inhale and come back up. And now take legs to the wall. Because if you think about the idea, and this is sort of the idea of it. Is you're just coming down, and you're just letting the left side drop. And then you turn. So that's the general idea. What is holding you back? I'm not sure yet.
Because I can twist.
Yeah, you could twist
and
and
bend, but I can't twist and bend.
Yeah, so I think it has to do with the extension because you don't have enough stability to then leverage more turn. I think that's what it is. Because if you try to turn, if you do a twist with your arms up overhead, right?
Yeah.
You can only turn so far. Then when you take your hands down, then you get a lot of leverage. So I think you don't have enough stability from extending to give you enough leverage to turn. we'll work on it. But for right now, those of you in legs at the wall, if you wish to get a little bit more, well, first off, tune in. You need more support for your lower back. If you need more support for your lower back, you can take your feet wider than your hips and bend your knees so the soles of the feet are on the wall, like a malasana squat. So that's one thing. If you need more support for your shoulders, bend your elbows, have the back of the hands on the floor, and bend your elbows like making the letter W. So you want to do this. And almost press the back of the hands down and lift your elbows up. See if you can get that tight shoulder to drop more towards the floor as you tuck your shoulder blade underneath. Now, if you want to go even further, you can do what we were doing with the overhead lat bar, right? So again, I feel that left shoulder very resistant. So what is it that's stuck? What can I do to get more positional bone structure in the right place that the muscles and ligaments can release and let go? And sometimes we don't get an answer, and it's okay. Every day is different depending on how you slept, right? What you ate, because sometimes the inflammation factor or the sodium factor is going to be a part of that. Also, the weather will do that. Just like in the summer, the rings aren't as loose as in the winter. So let your mind wander over the practice from the repeated Gomukhasana arms, the repeated Baddha Konasana into Dandasana, from the collection of triangle to extended side angle to warrior two. And then again, we did it again. And then rotated triangle pose at the wall. And in the middle of your mat, coming away from the wall. And those poses that you loved, like all of us loved wide leg forward bend, when we went side to side, how did that inform how the legs could possibly behave in your standing poses? Now begin to let your exhalation be longer than your inhalation. Let go of any thoughts. Allow the skin on your face to soften and drape down towards the floor. Bend your knees towards your chest. Let your feet be flat on the wall. If it's a little tight in the hips and the groins, just take your feet a little wider. Ground the back of the pelvis even more by scrubbing the heels towards the toes. And stretch your arms overhead if that's comfortable for your shoulders, and roll onto your right side. Let your right arm be a pillow for your head. Draw your knees towards your chest towards your knees. And use your arms to slowly, slowly come to sit up. Then open your chest, palms together. Down your hands. Thank you for playing yoga tonight with me.
Thank you.